his energy policy. As gas prices have gone down, people kind of forgot about it. No, it's everybody's important.
It's starting to go back up.
And guaranteed it will go up and down and up and down, but we can't relieve the pressure on the politicians on things like offshore drilling. When the prices go down, the ones that are kind of squishy, that don't want to have the offshore drilling that will help us lessen our dependency on foreign sources, you can't let them wiggle out from under the pressure of the American public saying we need a comprehensive energy policy. So those are the kinds of issues that I'll be sharing on my email and webpage, and anybody wants, just call my office in Billings. Got a toll-free number if you're out of town. If you're in town, there's a phone number there, or just access the web. You can go on Denny Rehberg and it'll punch up my official website, and that's how we communicate with people.
And I think it's imperative. I mean, you know, that we voice our opinions. So often we get caught up in it and thinking, oh man, you know, I mean, you aren't in the majority at this point. So consequently, you just think, what can we do? It's the way it is.
Yep.
But there is.
There is. Yep. And that's how majorities are built. The Republicans are in the penalty box, and they deserve to be. They lost their way. And one of the things I noticed when I got back to Washington, you know, I was first elected in 2000, came back in 2001, and my caution to my leadership was, what are you guys doing? This is not what I ran under. You're starting to sound like a bureaucrat. And I always jokingly said, you know what the definition of a bureaucrat is? A Democrat that has a job that a Republican wants. You know, we have to be different. We have to create a contrast of philosophies, and that's how you gain the support of the American public, is if you'll just articulate your position, create the contrast between your position and an alternative position, and that's what we attempted to do, is create better alternatives or better solutions to the bill that was going through. So when I pick up the Gazette and it says I didn't support any stimulus package, I had to call the Gazette and said, you're wrong. And in fact, we got to vote on 2 alternatives, both of which I was part of the coalition that put it forward. And so don't say that we did not support the stimulus. We do support the stimulus, but there's many different ways to do it. And don't just assume because one party or the other has a solution that it's the only way to look at it. We had a better alternative that would have in fact created the jobs without all the spending. In fact, it created twice the jobs for half the cost. And we did everything we could to get that message out, but the majority limits our ability to have access to the public. So that's why I just thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk to the people that, you know, respect you enough to turn you on every morning and listen to you.
Well, and anytime, you know, that you want to come back and sit and chat or on the phone,
yep.
It doesn't matter. And I have your number too, so I can do the.
Well, let's do that from Washington as well, because I'm sitting back there, and when I'm not on the floor debating or not in committee, I'm a member of the Rural Caucus and the Western Caucus. I have a number of different groups I go to. I'm part of Ron Paul's Liberty Caucus, and we get phenomenal speakers coming in. I'd like to share that information, but yeah, let's just start regularly calling each other.
That'd be great.
And tell you a little bit about what's going on back there.
And I so appreciate you coming in, because you know the average person thinks exactly like I do. I mean, like,
yeah,
oh, well, you know, this is what's happened, and there's nothing we can do about it. And you just told us there is something we can do about it.
That's how you build a governing majority. Is people just finally get angry, and whether it was the Boston Tea Party or some other revolution, and let's hope it's a peaceful change of power once again, where people recognize that you cannot spend your way into prosperity, that ultimately government doesn't create jobs, people do.
Right.
Businesses do. And all government should do is be a partner, just help, but not the senior partner. You can do that through creating incentives, and the incentives are, the only incentives are you lessen the regulations on a business, or you lessen the tax burden on a business, but get out of the way and let businesses expand and grow, and that's going to fix your economy, not some kind of a government spending program.
Or bailouts.
Or bailouts.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, one other question, one more. Mm-hmm. How do you like Nancy Pelosi?
All of the
got a lot of power.
Yeah, let me use this as an example. You know,
Yeah.
people say, well, why do you have crooks in Congress? You know, you've got the Duke Cunninghams and the
Right.
William Jeffersons, and I just have to remind people that, first of all, there's no literacy test to run for Congress. But Congress is a reflection of society. That there are no standards, and so anybody can run. You can run. A guy standing behind me here, my state director Dustin, he can run. Anybody can run, and so it's phenomenal. What Congress is it represents every square inch of this country. Somebody represents every square inch of America, and you've got fat people and skinny people, old and young, men and women, minorities and non. You've got virtually everything, and so ultimately you have crooks and you have honest people. I could tell you some stories of some of the people I served with that would bring tears to your eyes. Sam Johnson spent 7.5 years in the Hanoi Hilton. For the first 4 years, his wife didn't even know whether he was alive or not. You look at him today, he can barely walk. He had every bone broken through torture, and he's serving in Congress. And please don't put him in the same category as the Duke Cunningham, so we dwell on the Dukes and we forget the Sams. And just remember that Congress is a reflection of society, and we hope to weed out the bad ones. Nancy Pelosi is a delightful individual, but I disagree with her philosophy. I disagree with the direction she's trying to take the country. I disagree with the opportunity. See, because she looks at things from a San Francisco perspective, which is where she is from. And all I ask is somebody like Nancy, please, if you will take the time to get to know Montana and our 56 counties and our 56 unique personalities and cultures and desires and needs, you know, you've got Plentywood, and you've got Dell, Montana, you've got Libby. If you'll understand that, I'll try and understand your San Francisco perspective, but don't create a one-size-fits-all that suggests what's good for San Francisco is good for Montana, because that's just not true. So at a personal level, she's a delightful individual that I get along very well with. But we set that aside when we're talking about politics and philosophy and policies, and I so strongly disagree with the direction she's trying to take this country.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for coming by.
You bet. My pleasure.
Very good to see you again. So, anytime.
Thank you.
Anytime. Congressman Denny Rehberg, it's 8:41, 19 before 9, 105.9. This is The Bar.